This podcast is brought to you by Kiwi Design, the leader in Metaquest and VR accessories. And now you can deck out your device while supporting the podcast. The Metaquest 2 is a great headset, but do you ever feel things could be a bit more comfortable? Well, we have the solution for you. With lens protectors, controller grips, face covers, head straps, link cables, headset stands, and more, including my two personal favorites, the top version controller grips with added weight and an extended handle, and the Kiwi upgraded Elite strap. Let's be real, we've all whacked our controller. Don't be the guy messaging Oculus support for your own mistake or waiting weeks for an out-of-stock controller. Visit the link in our show notes to prepare yourself today. After visiting the link in our show notes, make sure to use the promo code Ruff Talk VR at checkout, all one word, to take full advantage of your savings. And make sure to click the link in our show notes so the podcast gets credit and you help support us. Remember, whatever you need, Kiwi has you covered. Hey everyone, welcome to this episode of Ruff Talk VR, and today you're joined for another edition of Monday Morning News.
Always like the news.
Oh yeah, talking the latest and the greatest in the world of VR.
No, I like our news. The other news kind of depresses me sometimes.
Yeah, the world of VR is a little bit more positive than perhaps your typical day-to-day news.
Yep.
So, just to kick it right off, I want to give a huge shout out. The first piece of news I'll give to Bocce Time, a great app lab game that, we actually reviewed it. We interviewed the developer on it. Great game. It kind of has that like walkabout mini golf like
vibe.
Yeah, that you don't really know why.
Social vibe.
Yeah. It's kind of hard to put pinpoint exactly why it works, but there's something about you go into that app, you play a couple rounds with a friend, and you're like, wow, I could probably drain a whole battery. So the way Bocce Time worked before us, it was just one course. Well, one map, I guess you'll say.
It was the backyard map.
Yeah, with there's probably 5 different courses, play areas in that one map. But they just launched their second map, their second play area,
which is Oceanside.
Yeah, with it's more than one course playing on as well, correct?
Yeah.
So, props to them definitely if you haven't checked.
And you know what I do when I go there, with all this is what sucks, because they just like the first courses, they give you a variety of different ones to play. I go right to the most standard looking. What's the most basic standard looking? But it almost seems like it's on a concrete, not on like you're not playing on lawn.
Yeah, which I didn't know this or really notice this until we talked to Anthony. But the surface that you're rolling the ball on makes a big difference. That he adjusted the physics of each playing area.
Oh no, it's good bocce.
Yeah, so when you say that it may be concrete, that's going to affect the rolling speed, the rolling power needed. It
just has
all
that
stuff.
sound too when the ball hits. It doesn't.
Admittingly, we didn't check it out multiplayer yet, so I can't comment if our Mr. Potato Man is still in there though.
No, I actually played the dev voice.
Yeah, the
since he's the
body
voice
McBot face.
Yeah, since he's the voice of the guy you play.
Yeah, so just to kick the party off, huge shout out to Bocce Time getting their second course.
Yeah, he said he was going to do it, and boom.
Yeah, that's a game that
I believe he's got more coming. So
yeah, that's a game that's on App Lab now, but I think it's no brainer for the official store. It's got a good following on their Discord. They do weekly tournaments that doesn't seem to have dried up or anything like that.
With the amount of content he's got out right now, yeah, I just don't know what his frame rates are and all that.
Yeah, since now we know the technical requirements of the official store.
As easy as it was 6 months ago to go, I don't know why it's not on the official store.
It could be something like that.
We'd have to get down to, at this point, just the
nitty gritty.
Yeah, the nuts and bolts. But for all we know, that's what he's kind of hammering out as we speak. So
yeah, if you're like us two and you like those social experiences, you like multiplayer games, you like to play with a buddy, I think Bocce Time's a must own.
Yeah, no, 1,000,000% over.
And then, next piece of news, we had talked about that the release last week. We were like, oh my god, they announced Bonelab is coming out of nowhere on Thursday. And so it dropped on Thursday. We've checked it out a bit. We'll have a full review. But the first thing I want to say about the Bonelab's release is, oh my goodness, the amount of reviews that game had, even within a couple hours, is just, it's insane. It's up to what, as of the time that we're talking about this, which tomorrow, when the episode comes out, it's going to be a little bit more. But as of right now, it's already in the 4,000s.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, within the first hour, it was at like 6 to 800. I was like, I've never seen anything like this in a VR game.
It's currently at a 4.8, I believe.
And I know some people might go, oh, well, it's a bunch of people reviewing it who haven't played the game, but you can check how many people got achievements and stuff, and you start checking how many people got those, even those first couple of achievements. It's a lot of people. So it's not just people who haven't like actually bought it and played a little bit. There's a lot of people who are getting these achievements, and we know, I think one developer told us once, what was it, like 30% of the people leave a rating?
Leave a review or a rating, yeah.
So, I mean, you do the math there. Hopefully, stress level 0, hopefully they're sleeping in money bags of cash in bed tonight,
I'm sure they were popping some champagne on launch day because it was relatively smooth.
Yeah, and this might be one of the most hyped Quest 2 games that I've seen drop. Next to Blade and Sorcery and Resident Evil 4, I don't think I've ever seen a reception like this.
No, when it was announced last year, it's been hype city ever since.
Yeah, people loved Boneworks. People like Stress Level 0.
Still see videos on Facebook of people posting their shit.
Yeah, and props to them that they've carried over, the physics element pretty good into the Quest 2. Like I said, we'll do our full episode review on it, but
the graphics aren't bad. The physics are, obviously fun.
Yeah, that's kind of the highlight of the game.
And it does have the button that says mods, and it's it's coming. So
there's no real mods yet, but the way these things look, like it has its own engine. I think it's the One Marrow engine. It's a custom engine for the game.
It's locked and loaded. They're just
waiting for people to learn it.
That is going to be, I think, like you mentioned last week, that'll be the game changer for it. If you can get the good mods in there and then really maximize what people can, that's going to be a whole new game.
Well, and I understand these physics games aren't for everyone. Like Blade and Sorcery. I have quite the imagination. I can spend some time in that, but a lot of people need like goal orientated like missions and stuff like that in order to really enjoy a game, and I completely understand that. Something I wasn't expecting with this game, there's actually a good amount of campaign in it. Like more than I would have thought for the amount people go, oh, well, it's really just about the physics. I was thinking maybe they'd have you have a 2-hour campaign and then it's there, but they have you do like this intro mission and then you go to your main hub area and like they let you see how many missions there are, which I instantly have to check, and I'm like, oh my God, if every mission's as long as that first one, meh.
Yeah, and some people are saying it's real short.
Yeah, I think it depends on your expectation.
People say anything is short. I'm sure the last Grand Theft Auto was short for some people.
I'll give the full disclaimer that, the reason we're not dropping the review of it right now, we haven't beaten it yet. So I can't comment to you personally how long or short it is, but we'll definitely have that answer by the time we review it.
Yeah, no, I mean, kudos to them for, and so quickly too in the big scheme of things. And it doesn't look like they really settled too much on, or took away too much as far as the graphics go.
No, there was a couple posters I found that were a little pixelated bit, but there's some things in the game they don't really teach you either, like that you have to pull apart those little like Pokemon balls to open them. You had to figure that out on your own.
I'm fucking throwing a thing all around like it's gonna do something. I'm like, I see something in it. I can clearly see there's a crowbar in there, but I don't know what to do with it. Shaking it.
So again, another full disclosure: we didn't really play Boneworks because we're Quest 2 standalone only noobs. We don't got that PC VR. I guess in Boneworks, I was seeing a lot of people comment online that you would have had to carry those until the end, and then you get the reward of them at the end of the mission. So people are like, dude, I carried around a trash can full of those balls through the whole first level before I even realized that, no, you open them yourself.
That's funny.
And I could totally picture that because I was like kind of doing that stuff. I was like, what the hell do I do with this Pokeball?
They weren't doing shit for me, so I just kept throwing them away. And then...
Yeah, when you told me that you had discovered that, I was like, oh, dude, I wasted so many of them.
No, there were some good ones that I just, because you can clearly see what's in it. If you can somehow get in it. And I'm like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I literally I tried throwing it at an enemy. I'm like, maybe I throw it at an enemy.
Like it's a legit Pokeball.
And the shovel's going to appear and beat the guy to, it's like.
You're like, I'm not catching them all with this thing.
The skeletons look pretty cool.
Yeah, and like, they
fuck with them.
A lot of the enemies are just like these, they call them null bodies. They're just like these like plasma looking entities. And there's some people that you'll encounter with guns and stuff like that, but the enemies are pretty easy to kill, so you can kind of have some fun with them. I kind of grabbed one by the neck. I took my gun next to his head and I was like, "You're about to die, motherfucker!" And I shot his head like that. It was just funny, you know. So I think for me and you who have imagination, we can have a lot of fun with sandbox games. But I can totally understand why, like, you know, people who need a campaign, at least there's a little bit catered to them in this one.
Mm-hmm.
And they got the whole sandbox mode and
It'd
stuff.
be
too.
an interesting review.
Yeah. The only criticism I'll say today, you know, because I got a lot more to play, is I think the graphics are good. I don't mind the physics. The physics are really fun. I don't think the controls are too janky. I just want to see somebody do the full arms that don't look like, you know, crackhead arms. The arms are twigs, you know, the forearms.
They're bones.
They're bones.
They're bones.
Like, you got no meat on them. You're emaciated.
Yeah. No.
You are skinny arms. Drunken Bar Fight had that problem too, where it's like, I'm not even talking twigs. I'm talking like,
Oh yeah, toothpicks.
like wire.
Yeah.
You know, you got some skinny ass forearms on this. I wish that they'd beef those up by default a little bit, but other than that, you know, I can't
And
wait.
where's the legs, man? Where's my legs, man?
Yeah.
I'll give the leg argument.
Yep.
Which I don't. Just in case nobody knows, I don't really care if there's fucking legs or not.
Floating arms.
I got too much other shit to do with punching people, and
I actually feel like for melee games, floating hands works better than arm. Like, if you're gonna punch something, I feel like sometimes
unless it's full body motion and you can use your legs to kick a foot through a TV. I mean, because that's what's gonna happen. I already know what's gonna happen in my world when.
if you had full body tracking,
Yeah, and it's gonna happen.
you're gonna start throw leg kicks, high kicks, middle kicks, spinning
Yeah,
back kick.
fucking roundhouse.
Yep. Wham! I'll hear that smack.
Yeah. Oh.
You don't know if it's glass. You don't know what the fuck it is. You break your toe.
I'll have to have an empty room with freaking beds put all on the wall.
Yeah, I dream of a kickboxing game with full body tracking.
Yeah.
So, you know, checking leg kicks and
Be
stuff.
a game
but
changer. Have
no,
to
that's-
rent a gym though.
No, but this will be definitely a fun one to review. I don't think the campaign's super long. It's longer than I would have thought, but I think we'll be able to get through it pretty quick.
It's longer than most set for this style of game.
Yeah, for something that's so
'Cause
based
some
off the
don't
physics.
even have any campaign at all. You
Mhm.
just go in there and pick your weapons and start ripping faces off. And
Notably Blade and Sorcery, you know, they do have that crystal hunt mode that they've been teasing since the game dropped. That's going to eventually come out. That's going to add a little bit more
Blade
story
and
mode.
Sorcery is a lot more sadist than this game is, though.
I agree with that. I mean, now in fairness, I haven't spent enough hours in the sandbox mode to know.
It's the
How to
mods
say
that
this?
are going to make you an evil son of a bitch in this game.
Yeah, because it's hard to be as evil to those null bodies that are just plasma.
Yeah.
There's no face on them. They're
No.
genderless. There's no animation.
They're
You know?
almost like liquidy in a way.
They're plasma. They're like lava
Yeah.
inside. You know, that's why I grabbed it by the neck and just gangster shot him in the head. That's what you got to do sometimes.
No guilt.
Execution. Yeah, but with something about Blade and Sorcery with the human side of it, where you see, you know, the blood start to come over the guy's face as you bashed him 16 times with a
Dude, but
spiked mace.
It took me literally minutes before
I'll never forget you sending me that video of the parts stuck through the
it's all spiked to the wall.
all over
Guy's
the place.
like, I think I was smacking him in the face
Yep.
with his hand or some shit.
Like, why you slapping yourself? Why you slapping yourself?
Guy was totally dismembered. No, again, I'm laughing about it. Dismembering, that's terrible.
Yeah, but-
Desensitizing is what it is.
Yeah, but so this game, I do agree, is definitely a little sadist. But you know, we'll do a whole episode dedicated to that. And then
But so
you know,
far, so good.
yeah, so far I'm impressed. You know, we'll see by the end, you know, how I'm feeling with more hours invested. But I'm just excited to see. I think these things are good for VR when you see, you know, 4,000 reviews in 2 days.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe for the most popular PlayStation or Xbox game, or you know, that might not be
No,
the
it's
most.
not-
But
it's
for
not
our
shit.
little niche, to see it so fast, that's cool.
Mhm.
That's real cool.
And I mean, not for nothing, you can go on PlayStation Store or Xbox Store and see games that don't have as many ratings as you would think.
Yeah.
You would be like, oh shit, I actually would have thought
Mm-hmm.
there would have been
Being like
40K.
40K.
Millions. Yeah.
Nope. But so, you know, I'm excited to drop our full review on that, and more excited, I'm just excited to get through the whole game. But as well, the game that we're reviewing on Wednesday, so we won't spend, you know, really any time on this, but Walkabout just dropped their new course the same day that Bonelab's dropped.
Yeah, we decided we'd have a specific course. We love Walkabout, so no
Yeah.
secret there. We'll talk about it.
Yeah, on Wednesday we'll review our, you know, that course. It's kind of the first time that we're dedicating a whole episode to the DLC, but we probably should have, you know. We didn't do it with Sweetopia. We didn't do it with Labyrinth or any of the
No.
other ones. We probably should have, though.
It'll all come down to one rating, really, to me. Is it worth it?
Mm-hmm. which, those DLCs
Yeah, I
are
already
so
know,
fucking
you know,
cheap,
come on,
come
what's-
on. No spoilers or nothing. But it's Walkabout and those DLCs are like $3. Come on. All right, but nonetheless, so besides that, this one we might have to take with a little bit of grain of salt. We don't always talk about leaks. Rumors, the rumor mill. We don't really have a rumor mill on here. We usually try to keep things on like confirmed stories, but apparently the word on the street is the Quest 3 was leaked. The semantics of it, the design and what's going to be inside of it. It was leaked by this guy, Bradley Lynch, who, I'll say full disclosure, when he first started leaking stuff, I think he would even probably say this, it was a little hit and miss. It wasn't the most reliable at all when he first started doing it, but to give fairness, especially with the Metaquest Pro, Project Cambria, he made a lot of claims, a lot of leaks like back in May that actually ended up being accurate. So if you're going to view it from like a what have you done for me recently viewpoint, it's probably reliable. If you're viewing it as like a total of the entire average history of his leaks, it's probably a little bit more like 60-40, 50-50. But again, if you're going to view it as like what have you done for me recently, it's a reliable leak. So yeah, apparently he leaked the Quest 3 the Quest 3 design and schematics. It's got pancake lenses, which allows for a much lighter weight device. That's how Cambria is as well. It had some cool like, the IPD where it is pretty much where your lens are located on the headset. The Quest 3 only has like 3 preset options, and realistically, most people fall in the middle, not like exactly 68 or whatever. So it looks like on the bottom there's a little bit of a slider. I think the most disappointing thing was that it's not going to have eye tracking or face tracking like the Quest Pro.
How real is it?
Well, eye tracking and face tracking is things that it's
Well,
gonna
no. I'm saying the
the leak. Yeah, that's a good point. And how
that's
much
always
is set,
at the end of the day. It's always my
and how much is set to change?
yeah. Like what
Maybe that's the design today,
is that
or 6 months ago.
Or is that a Quest 3, but that's the Quest 3 that's only been built to perform one specific function, and the other Quest 3 that someone else is working on that looks pretty similar?
Yeah, it's possible that they have multiple prototypes out,
yeah.
and
At the end of the day, all those get merged. And
that's why I say if you base it off of his Quest Pro leaks, it's probably accurate. If you base it off of the entire history of leaks, it's a little bit more, we'll wait and see.
hit or miss.
Yeah,
Okay.
like I said. But in fairness to anybody, when they first start something, you got to iron out who your sources are. You're probably going to get a couple.
Yeah, but in the world of info, you got
Yeah, you're only as good as the accuracy of your leaks.
called them the Nostradamus of leaks. It's like I'll just say 100 things and I'll let you know which 10 came true.
Yeah.
I'll make some predictions about the Quest. I mean, you and I could sit there if you really want. We won't even call it a leak. Let's go. This is what we think, and I'll bet you.
So I'll go on the bet that I think that this leak is accurate, but
Okay.
we will see in terms of when it actually comes. It's hard to
Probably just picked up a new Pico and just took it apart and was like, all right. I mean, you could reverse it that way too.
Well, I think with like a lot of these people who leak things, I think it's at first when you don't have like any following with it, who's really leaking you stuff, right? But then as you kind of get like a little bit of a following and known, now people who actually are looking to leak stuff will go to you,
I have a picture of the Quest 3 with specs.
So it'll be interesting
Meet me
to
at Starbucks at 4:00. Bring cash. You know what I mean?
pay me in Bitcoin.
It's like, what's the, yeah. I don't even think I'd want Bitcoin now. End up owing you money. Like, what's the gain from it? Is it likes? Is it social media? Is it advertising? They have channels and they advertise on them?
Yeah, it's probably for views and clicks and stuff like that.
At least there wasn't blackmail involved.
I don't consider this as I don't have the dirty leak feel of
and
this.
kudos for you for being right on the age. I thought it was going to be someone 28.
Yeah,
who did the
in terms of the Rockstar
ended
leak,
up
yeah.
being a 16-year-old.
17. I guess
17,
no younger than 16, so technically I did miss by a year. He was 17, but my attitude is like, dude, most people don't have time to hack like that. At least
when
this dude.
when I saw there was potential gain from it, that's why I was like, oh.
Well, yeah, he tried to like extort them and be like, well,
Yeah.
somebody from Rockstar's talk, that's stupid. at least this guy,
Busted.
what I'll give him credit for is his leaks aren't coming from hacking.
No, they're coming from sources.
Or he digs through a lot of code of like, all right, they just dropped an update. Let me see if there's any references to anything.
I know a guy who knows a guy.
Yeah, let me send my cousin Vinny over there.
He knows a guy.
We'll get the info we need, huh?
We got guys.
Yeah.
We got lots of guys.
Head down to that.
That's how it works.
So stupid.
No, I mean it seems like it could be legit.
It could be, or it could not be. But
I'm not as upset about it either.
No,
like you said, it comes to him, not him hacking into somebody's shit.
Yeah, I never upset about those kind of leaks. I'm upset about the leaks that it's like hack and extort. What the hell is that? And in fairness too, it could be wrong too, because it could be exactly what you said. That's that Quest 3 that dude's working on, but that's not at all confirmed to be the final one. They're just playing around with a couple different options.
It's just a usable headset that's less cumbersome than
some prototype in the office. So, who knows? But
I thought of a great punishment for that 16-year-old, 17-year-old.
What?
Besides the obvious fines, and they should fucking smack him around in jail for a while. Cause
somebody's probably going to hire him.
Yeah, fuck him, dude. Ain't really worth it.
Do you know
he should not be allowed to play.
Do you know how he hacked
the next Rockstar game?
Do you know how he hacked it?
Yeah. This is when you're gonna try to like say it wasn't really his fault.
I would never say that. How can it not be his fault if he did the actions of what he did? I'm not going to say that. It's always his fault. But at the same time, god damn it, no matter how much you tried to like train people not to click on suspicious emails, even people high up in companies click on suspicious emails. It's like, what's going on? He sent fake password reset emails. And enough people, and one person was like, yeah, I'll reset my password.
That's just like ringing 1,000 doorbells in an apartment. One of them is just going to go, and I'm going to ask.
Yep.
Well protected building. No, you're right. It only takes one.
And it sucks because like companies spend and it's so annoying for everybody else who doesn't click suspicious emails ever in their life, and they have to go through these dumb freaking trainings because there's that one dude who's like, oh, well, you know what? It said it came from Rockstar.com, my company, even though it's XYZX47.com.
Oh, it's like an 80 character.
It always does. It's like you click on who the email is actually from, and it's like,
I will never reply to an email without hitting and seeing what the actual extension looks like. And
I don't reply to text messages. I don't fucking know them.
If it is anything out of the realm,
yeah, you're out of your mind.
What's all this 83 different letter number characters after? And
yeah, so as it's definitely that. But I'm not going to say the kid's not at fault for it. It's not like it's all that employee's fault, because the kid still sent the emails and made the cognitive attempt. But god damn, I thought it was going to be so much more of a sophisticated hack than that. Like, shame on that employee too.
But I think his punishment should be he should never be allowed to play a Rockstar game again. Because I mean, really, you got to figure he's like a super fanatic fan to go through all that trouble, and they should be like, no, fucking this guy should never be allowed to touch a computer again, and should never be able to play our game. I just thought, like, what a fitting punishment. That'd be worse than jail, dude. I feel like everyone talking about how great it is, and you're like,
well, where he messed up is the extortion attempt.
Yeah, dude. Trying to blackmail
it'd be
people.
a totally different story if he didn't try that.
And publicly, it's one thing to extort somebody when you go
private,
like, mouth to mouth, not like written cartoon.
You don't want to commit
shit.
Felonies over forums.
Watch this. I'm gonna go on Twitter. I'm gonna show them. I'll fucking
felonies over forums.com.
Why not?
A spot to commit felonies online.
So ridiculous. But at least they
caught him.
At least they caught him.
Well, he got caught for the same thing the last year with a different company.
NVIDIA.
And it's like, so they probably didn't have to look far. They were like, you want to check if it's Fred? It's probably Fred.
Somebody from NVIDIA, from Human Resource. I just love the way these scenarios could play out in my head, and to me, they're just funnier that way. But it was probably someone from NVIDIA who called, from Human Resources, who called Rockstar and said, hey, just so you know, George, who used to work for us that I know works for you guys, when we got hacked, it was because he thought he was going to inherit money from a Nigerian prince and gave away some of our secrets here. So you might want to look into him as being the source, and then you'll follow it to the same dude that did it to him.
Yeah, I don't condone...
That'd be funny.
I don't condone doxing the guy who did it at all, but I think that Rockstar should rename the trainings whenever they have to do a an email safety training. You know, example, if the guy's name's George, it's a George training.
Yeah.
Because you know what? As stupid as you can think these trainings are,
Well,
unfortunately, we got to do them because there's George over here. And George is going to click those fucking links if we don't do it.
there'll always be a George.
Yep. God.
Don't be like George.
I was definitely disappointed to hear that. Here I am thinking the kid actually pulled off a sophisticated hack.
Yeah, no, I had pictured the computers all running and monitors, and it's just hacking, trying
Nope,
every
it's
combination.
1980 out here sending stupid emails and people are clicking
Dear
them.
Tom.
I'm so flabbergasted. But you know,
It's time for your monthly password reset.
so yes, back to just to wrap up this little piece of news. Yes, this was not a dirty leak. This was a little bit more, you know, no social engineering to get. That was wild. Another piece of cool news though, because everybody likes to say Meta abandons their hardware. That's kind of the running joke. They released a new headset, you know, all support gone for the past ones, which, you know, let's completely ignore the history of Sony and Microsoft support for
They're not Facebook.
for their past consoles the second they drop their new one. But anyway,
They're not Facebook.
the Quest, you know, I never owned a PS3. Or yeah, I owned a PS3. When I owned a PS3 and then the PS4 came out, I was not able to still buy new PlayStation games on my PlayStation 3. Like they went to PlayStation 4 only much faster than Oculus games are going to Quest 2 only. But nonetheless, the Quest 1 is now getting the hand tracking 2.0 update, which I didn't think it was ever going to get. I thought that there was going to be some hardware restrictions there because, you know, but no. Still showing the love to that older headset.
Oh, okay. That's cool.
Yeah, it was kind of like
I wouldn't be upset if they abandoned it altogether at some point. I mean, it's like
you're going to upset a lot of Quest 1 users about that, but the reality is whenever we talk to devs and, you know, we'll ask,
you want better games, get rid of the Quest 1. I mean, that's just the end of this.
And the
put an end to it.
You ask any developer what percentage of your player base is Quest 1 users, it's beyond, it's one digit. It's not even in 10%. It's well under, you know?
And then I think we had mentioned months ago we were talking about it, and I'm like, if they just did a buyback program go look, you know, we get it. You don't want to have to upgrade, but you know, there comes a time where shit's just old. It's just not. It's not. There's no warranty on it anymore. The cost to repair it would exceed the cost of a new one.
But I'll even say that I've never seen that option thrown out in another console.
No,
I've never seen a buyback program like.
No, but this is Facebook.
Yeah,
they're not treated the same. They're not held to the same standards that other companies would be able to. They get away with nothing. And if they even have a thought out loud, it typically explodes and steamrolls into this traumatic.
Well, I say it all the time.
I need therapy experience because Facebook wants me to.
If you talk to, you know, again, we're not a political podcast, but if you talk to people on the left, they don't like Facebook for X reason. But then you talk to people on the right, and they don't like Facebook for the same reason, X, you know, whatever. On the opposite side, they just get shit on from all angles. And both political parties feel like Facebook colludes with the other side.
Yeah.
The right feels like that they're
going to drag his ass to court over and over and over anytime one side feels that, you know, and it's like.
Yeah, both sides. It's just a weird situation there.
Imagine if AOL back in the day was held to the same standards.
Yeah, well, and again, imagine if you bought, like, well, I've never had so many games still be supported on the previous console.
Yeah.
You know, it's insane. So, you know, props to them for still rolling out the Quest 1 support. If you are a Quest 1 user, I'm sorry. I don't mean to shit on your device and say, you know, it should be unsupported. But the reality is when you look at the titles that come out that are Quest 2 only, like Red Matter 2, they can only pull off that ability by, you know.
Well, you can't dumb it down.
And that's happening for a lot of games. Even for, remember when we were talking to Tommy from Deism? Sorry, Daysym. It'll always be Deism in my heart, though.
Deism in my head.
You know, he was saying that that took him 6 months to get it Quest 1 optimized.
It's not
even though it was still an enjoyable experience, but get it, you know, because he still had to meet the Quest 1 standards to get on the official Quest store. That was 6 months of development time to do that. I mean, that he could have been, you know, the pirate update would already be out.
How upset can somebody really be? Because it'd be like, you know,
people will be upset.
You ask, well,
it's going to be a vocal minority.
Let them be.
It's a vocal minority that's definitely going to get upset the day that they do drop it. Like, example, if suddenly we wake up tomorrow and they go, no Quest 1 support required on new games coming forward, there's going to be a loud uproar of
Mhm.
Quest 1 users. That's going to make it seem like that, like this is a big, big issue. But again, if you ask the developers,
Yeah.
what percentage of your game,
Percentage-wise, it's not.
it's well under 10%. Well under. And at a certain point, it needs to happen for the quality of games to continue to grow. You know,
Mhm.
for the rest of us
Not
users,
saying it needs to happen tomorrow, but within a couple of years,
yeah, you're seeing the letters on the wall. But it is cool
the
to.
phase out.
I was shocked to see the Quest 1 get the hand tracking 2.0 update, and that's really cool because the games that support it, like Cubism,
Mm-hmm.
they have a big following. Like what, you know, I like hand tracking. The games, it's a cool little nifty feature.
Unplugged.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Ooh, is that Quest 1 only or Quest 2?
I'm guessing it was Quest 2 because there wasn't hand tracking for Quest 1.
There was hand tracking. It was just
Not
not
as good
2.0.
as- yeah.
It wasn't hand tracking 2.0.
Because we had Unplugged before 2.0, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well before. 2.0 is a pretty recent
That's right,
feature.
and it still worked well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hand tracking 2.0 is a pretty recent feature, but it's just cool to see it go to Quest 1. I wondered, I never even looked. Does Quest 1 users have the shared homeroom? That's a good question.
I don't know.
Because I like that shared home space, and that's one of the coolest areas of hand tracking. When you're in the shared homeroom with
yeah.
somebody and you do the hand tracking,
The
you can see
hands,
the full.
the hands are legit.
Yeah, the hands are giving each other middle fingers, peace signs. It's
and that's
cool.
only going to get better and better.
So I
And
recommend.
here's what I'm wondering: when you're in your, or like when we're in our home space, farting around like that and doing all our hand shit,
Is it getting better because of it?
is it picking up that data just like it would be if it was in game? So the next time that there's an update, they can compile all that data. And
Mm-hmm. That was Diego of Just
be a
Hoops
brilliant way of them doing that, dude.
who taught us that. We always thought that hand tracking was a hardware limitation only, and he's like, no. The more data that they get of people using their hand tracking, the better it gets. And we're like, wait, so we can improve hand tracking by playing Just Hoops? Ha ha ha, you know?
Yeah,
But
theoretically, yeah.
I mean, if what he said is true, then by all means, what you just suggested is correct. If we're dicking around in the homeroom,
Yep.
doing little sign language and, you know, finger in the hole behavior, whatever, it's improving the hand tracking.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's cool. And I recommend that to anybody who, if you haven't done it yet, you know, you got a buddy, go fire up a shared home space, go pop in there with your meta avatars. It's really cool if you do the pass through as well.
It's almost creepy sometimes.
Yeah, but here's the thing. They don't see your room environment.
No.
They just see theirs. But it's cool seeing the avatars float through your living room or your bedroom or whatever, and then put down your controllers, activate the hand tracking, and then just fucking be silly. You know, it's the hand tracking with avatars looks real smooth. I like it. Again, that's where it shines the most, I think.
Yeah, no, you could easily do sign language. Easily.
Oh.
And there'd be no screw-ups.
And it's accurate. It's not jittery. It's not
Nope.
shaky. That hand tracking 2.0 update.
First thing I did was give you the finger, and I was like, oh my God, that worked.
It worked really good.
Wow, no limitations here.
You saw me. You heard me wig out like, oh, dude, I'm putting down my controllers right now.
Yeah.
it's cool. So, yeah, hand tracking 2.0 is smooth and definitely cool to see it go to the Quest 1. As much as we were saying it should be, you know, phased out or whatever. Cool to see that they're still giving some love though.
Feeding it hope.
Feeding it hope.
Feeding it hope.
And then I guess one last little piece of news on this baby. It's not really news. It's just something that, you know, was kind of teased before when Zuckerberg went on the Joe Rogan Experience. They opened up the podcast with Rogan going, your new Oculus, which was funny to hear him call it an Oculus like 6 or 8 times on the podcast. I wonder if Zuck was sitting there going, maybe that wasn't the best name change. But nonetheless, so they had teased that they had played a fencing game together on it, which is like, you know, Zuckerberg keeps calling it an internal demo, but they just released more footage of it, and it looks really freaking cool.
Of course.
The pass-through AR, that's probably the biggest selling point of the Metaquest Pro, you know, face tracking. So, you know, you'll be able to track when you smile and stuff like that. And then the color pass-through features, which, like, you already see some mixed reality experience, like the pass-through. We were just saying we love the pass-through home environment.
Mm-hmm.
It is these shitty black and white infrared cameras, but it's still so cool. The Quest Pro has, like, high-quality color pass-through cameras. So you're playing this fencing game in a pass-through environment, and it looks really cool. I was like, wow.
The Quest Pro is going to have a really fancy high price then.
Yes, that's the word on the street of that $1,200 to $1,500.
You're not getting that for, I was going to say, under $1,000.
Well, that's probably why the Quest 3, according to that leak, doesn't have face or eye tracking. It's probably a really expensive feature to add on a standalone headset. That's probably one of the things that is bumping up that cost a lot. So I can see why on
full color.
Yeah, I can see why on like the Quest line it might not have it, only the Pro line. But as much as they're saying that this is a business headset, they keep saying it's a business headset. But all they've teased is these cool.
Much, I haven't seen much production going on.
Everything's been cool mixed reality games. Even on Connect last year, they teased a fishing game from Resolution, or maybe from.
It is for business. This is the one business people will buy and they'll keep in their office, and they want to play games during the day. They'll fucking put it on.
Yeah,
it's all business.
Yep. It's that kind of business. So it's interesting. I'm curious to see the direction it's going, because as much as I hear it's for business, it's like, is it, or is it for AR technology? Because it's looking like it's for AR, like maybe gaming as well, quite a bit. So I'm interested. I don't know. I'm curious. Again, I said it the other week. Is it for us? No. Is it in our price range? No. Is it marketed to us? No. Do I want it? Yes. Yeah. So unfortunately, that's the situation I'm in. But yeah, I think that just about wraps it up on news. You know, a lot of fun stuff. Like I said, Bonelab came out. New walkabout course, which we're going to review Wednesday, that came out, and we'll have Bonelabs ready. Bocce course just came out. We didn't mention it, but we kind of talked about last week. The same day as Bonelab and the walkabout course, Crisis Brigade 2, revamped, reloaded, whatever, came out as well. Which
now Crisis Brigade
2, which we were saying last week we weren't sure how it was going to work because there's a separate app listing if you got to buy it again, whatever. Nope. If you have the App Lab version of Crisis Brigade 2, you already bought it in the past, update the game. It's like a 4 gigabyte update, and then boom, you have the official store version then.
They definitely made some visual changes.
Yeah, we didn't play it. You know, we played a little bit. You need to do a full playthrough before you can say if they've made no changes in terms of gameplay and stuff, but aesthetically, the character models are real nice.
Yeah, no, they've tightened them up, and I want to say I almost used that cartoon effect.
Yeah, what's going to be an interesting conversation to have about it is that there might be part of me that likes that Crisis Brigade 1 graphics more, as blocky and stupid as they are, for that style of just like shitty arcade shooting.
Rec Room Brigade.
Remember those Crisis Brigade 1 graphics? They're so crappy, but there's something about it that made it fun too. But definitely the graphics on this one are real tight. And
no, they kicked it up a notch. They're making moves.
You know, they were good in Crisis Brigade 2, you know, before they revamped it, but that was the most notable thing. The first mission we fired up, we're like, damn.
But definitely all your achievements and unlockables will be gone.
Yeah, that was kind of some bullshit. We had some
even
money.
Though it's the same maps too.
Yeah, we had some money. We had some upgrades.
Yeah.
Nope, not the case. It looks like the upgrades might be a little different too.
I think there was some different ones. There's some similar ones, like the Riot Shield.
That'll be fun to put some more time in. So
definitely
a lot happened this week, but you know, we're chipping away at it all. And stay tuned for Wednesday when we we review the new walkabout course. And other than that, subscribe, rate us 5 stars. Check out the Patreon server, all that fun stuff.
Sweet.
Ciao, ciao.